The 10 dumbest things we're being asked to believe about Gaza. This is Caitlin Johnstone. She tweeted this out. The number one thing, the dumbest thing that we're being, it's just like a David Letterman spot, right? Number one, that Israel had no idea what Hamas was up to prior to October 7th. But ever since, did you find, by the way, also, I just read today that there were reporters from like the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the AP were embedded with the Hamas during the October 7th thing. So you don't think they told their bosses what was happening? You don't think they knew? You don't think that, of course, so my whole theory now is that Israel knew about this and they allowed it to happen. This is the build. This is okay. Israel had no idea what Hamas was up to prior to October 7th, but ever since October 7th has known about every hospital, mosque, school, refugee camp, and water tower that Hamas is hiding in. And I think America must have given Israel our new bomb. And if you thought that daisy cutter was a nasty weapon, wait till you see the cherry picker. It automatically knows that a school is actually a Hamas submarine base, because immediately identifying that the school bus is actually an enemy tank painted yellow. Yes. Number two, that the blame for all the deaths caused by Israel weapons launched by Israel rests solely on Hamas. That's the number two dumb thing. The number three dumb thing, that Hamas is using human shields, meaning Hamas bases are hidden amidst civilian population, yet Israel is managing to kill thousands of civilians without doing any meaningful damage to Hamas. Isn't that something? That is something. You know, we always see the hero sniper in the movies refusing to take the shot because there was a kid in the way, right? Russ, you watch a lot of movies. I know that. That every movie that the hero sniper is not going to take the shot because there's a kid in the way. But right. I'm guessing, Russ, that's just the movies. What happened? Go ahead.
Well, that's because the CIA funds the movies. They've been doing this for decades, where they give them access to military equipment, they give them access to bases, and in exchange, they get final approval of the scripts. This is why the CIA is incredibly competent and ingenious in any portrayals in any Hollywood movies that you're going to see.
Yes.
The world is a dangerous place. They're good people doing a hard, difficult job, and the military is always moral.
What happened to us as a society when you can't believe in the ethics of snipers anymore? Am I right?
You know.
Well, not only that, but we didn't. I mean, maybe I'm a dumb guy for bringing this up, but I thought of this. We didn't even bomb the bin Laden compound. We landed the helicopter silently and sent the guys in. Like, we didn't even. Why didn't we just fucking blow that building up?
Right.
We knew bin Laden's in there.
Right. Everyone in there is a human shield.
And right. Everyone's in there, a human shield. We send the guys in there with guns and walking around corners. And like, why wouldn't we have just blown that up?
That's going in my act. That's going. You know, last night I was doing a set at Flappers in Burbank, and I got to the point about how I think this. Hamas attack seemed very 9/11-y to me, and I did the thing about, you see the two twin towers, never forget, and then there's Building 7, forget, and that crowd was not ready for that joke. I'll tell you that.
No, too soon.
And I just stopped and I go, that's funny because we blew up Building 7.
Okay, you want to talk about a too soon joke? I think it was Richard Belzer. It was really within a month of 9/11. He went on stage and made a joke about how cheap the rent was going to be. They crucified him for that.
Really? Well, he
believed it was an inside job. He very famously believed that. He was one of the first guys to come out and say that.
And he was also on board.
Famous guys.
Ironic that he would think that 9/11 was an inside job, but he didn't have a question about COVID and the mandates and the vaccines.
Was he around for that? Yeah, he died very recently, right? Yeah, yes. He died recently, yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to say how many boosters he took. Here's from the New York Times. It is not clear how effective Israel's campaign against Hamas has been. One senior U.S. defense official who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive details said the operations so far have not come close to destroying Hamas's senior and middle leadership ranks. All this carnage, all this carpet bombing, all that, I read a stat the other day. Don't quote me on this. Maybe you guys know this. That they've dropped more bombs in Gaza than Russia dropped in Ukraine over the whole war. Have you heard that?
I
heard Max Blumenthal say something kind of similar to that. Yeah, in his latest State Department confrontation.
Okay, so no, if someone, I'm not saying that's fact. I'm saying that's go ahead and fact check me on that.
People are
saying other U.S. officials said Hamas is not analogous to Al Qaeda or the Islamic State and has a far deeper bench of experienced mid-level military leaders, making it hard to assess the impact of killing. Okay, number 4, that it would be perfectly fine to murder children by the thousands, even if they were being used as human shields, as though resolving a hostage situation by mowing down thousands of child hostages would be regarded as reasonable and acceptable by the public if it happened in our own country. Number 5, that is the only, you know what, we should have like Pee Wee Herman come out and read this or something like that. Oh no, he's dead.
Yeah.
Who did they used to
do that?
Who did they used to get to do stuff like that? Who was
Larry Bud Melman?
Let's have Larry Bud Melman. Oh, people forget. That's when David Letterman got rid of Larry Bud Melman.
He was like his Karl Rove.
It was just like
he was the brains of the operation.
The show wasn't going to be the same, and it wasn't. That it's the only pure coincidence that Israel's bombing Hamas targets and civilian infrastructure and residential buildings just so happens to look exactly the same as what you'd expect to see if Israel was simply bombing civilian infrastructure and residential buildings and lying about its reasons for doing so. Number 6, who's the guy who played Ferris Bueller? What's his name?
Matthew Broderick.
Let's have Matthew Broderick come out and read these. That's what Dave would do something.
I don't think he's going to do that.
He's not averse.
Sarah wouldn't like it.
He's not averse to killing people. He mowed down a couple of people.
That's true.
The satellite images of entire neighborhoods reduced. People don't know that about him. I think he killed them anyway. The satellite.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
It was a car accident.
In Ireland.
He killed a couple people.
Really?
Yeah, he killed a couple of. I think he killed a mother and her daughter. Head on. I think it was a head-on collision. I could be wrong.
Oh wow, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, but he did like 15 years in prison for that. Oh no, he didn't do anything. Anyway, the satellite images of entire neighborhoods reduced. Hey, it was an accident. Jimmy, was an accident. I know. I'm just making jokes. The satellite
that line to Donald Trump. It's very unfair. Matthew Broderick, he killed a couple people and he walked away. And they're coming after me like no one's ever seen before.
The satellite images of entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble in Gaza has been caused by precision strikes. That's number 6 of the dumbest things we're being asked to believe about Gaza. That satellite images of entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble in Gaza have been caused by precision strikes directed solely at Hamas and have been carried out with the greatest of care for human life. Despite Israeli officials openly saying that the emphasis is on damage and not on accuracy in this assault, and that Gaza will eventually turn into a city of tents, there will be no buildings. That's what Israeli officials have been saying.
It is so obvious that their intention is to get rid of the Palestinians. Everybody, I'm sure, who's interested in this subject has seen that meme showing how their territory has gradually been devoured, what they had left since 1948. They're just trying to create a situation where there is no more Palestinian people on that land, and the world is just going to have to accept it because it's a fait accompli.
The number 7 dumbest thing we're being asked to believe about Gaza, that this bombing campaign has anything to do with freeing Israeli hostages, as though the bombing campaign itself has not killed dozens of hostages, and as though anyone believes Israel would stop bombing Gaza after the hostages are returned. Number 8, I can't verify this, that the bombing campaign has killed hostages. So I'm just reporting this. I can't verify. Number 8 dumbest thing we're being asked to believe about Gaza, that the only reason anyone could possibly oppose the detonation of thousands of bombs on an open-air prison full of children would be if they had very strong and hateful opinions toward the members of the religion of Judaism. Number 9. that Hamas attacked Israel entirely out of the blue and completely unprovoked solely because they are evil and hate Jews. So I've had close friends, very big stars in Hollywood who I desperately want to cling to their friendship, have said to me, but Jimmy, Hamas started this war. And that's like saying that, hey, Putin invaded Ukraine. He started that war. So, right. Like I said at the UN, that's only true if you start the story in the third act, right? So if you start the movie in the third act, then yes, Putin just invaded Ukraine for no reason, and you can. But and same thing here. If you say Hamas started this, you're starting the movie in the third act. And the first act was the Nakba that started Israel. The second act was a lot of other things. One of them being the blockade in 2006. And so now you go, oh well, Hamas is just starting a war. Okay, all right. So people who are being occupied, I've heard rumors that people who are being occupied have a right to fight their occupiers. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. The number 10 dumbest thing we're being asked to believe about Gaza is that that Washington is powerless to stop this genocide that it is directly funding and supplying. So let me throw it over to the Due Dissidence boys. Now, I'm sure one of you went to Hebrew school, so tell me what you think.
Well, I'll defer to the one of us who did go to Hebrew school for a little while, at least.
Yeah. Well, I said this when we were on with Pasta. That was one of the reasons I hated Hebrew school, because it's Zionist training camp. They teach you Hebrew and they teach you Zionism. But Caitlin Johnstone is exactly right. And what's really been, there was this great video going around of, I believe, a Palestinian saying, "Thank you, Israel. Thank you for revealing to the world what you really are. Thank you for taking the mask off." Because I think a lot of people didn't know anything about the Nakba. I would say a month ago.
I didn't.
Most people
I'd never heard of the Nakba. I didn't know that's how Israel got found. I knew nothing about it. And so go ahead.
And you're seeing a swelling interest in learning about it. And there are documentaries on places you would think they'd be censored. Amazon has great documentaries on this subject. There's one actually I'm going to check out tonight. I think it's called Tantura. That's about the massacre of a Palestinian town, where they got Israeli veterans of this massacre talking about what they did to get that land. Nobody was looking at things like this before.
I saw that video. I was going to play that video, but I knew for sure it would be censored and demonetized, so I didn't play that video. They're demonetizing almost every video I do about Israel Palestine right now. So it's almost like not worth it to do this, but I'm doing it because I, compelled to get the story out. But now, Keaton, you obviously aren't as smart as us because you have no books behind you. But
the books are behind the sheet. He doesn't want to blow his delivery driver image.
Okay.
I have shattered the book about the Hillary Clinton campaign and a portrait of Susan Sarandon behind here. That's my sets. Yeah.
What do you have to say about anything? We just end this segment because it was so fantastic? Caitlin she did all the heavy lifting for us.
She did all the heavy lifting. I'll go out on a limb.
She's one of the best around.
I mean, one of the middle sections there was her, pointing out how stupid it is to equate people who criticize genocide with being anti-Semitic. And this is a trend I'm noticing online. I'm Jewish myself, and it really is horrible to see Jews claim to be the big victim in all of this. I saw two videos back to back on my feed yesterday afternoon. One was a 5-minute video of this Al Jazeera reporter, this woman, probably about my age. She had a couple of kids. One of her girls was 4 years old. And she says, "I've gone from assuring my 4-year-old girl that we're all going to be okay to assuring her that we're all together and that if we die, we will die together and it'll be quick because if a bomb hits our house, it'll wipe us out instantly. We won't even know it. That's the level of consolation that this mother is able to give to her 4-year-old girl. And then the next item down on my feed is some account with a picture of a deli in Australia with a boycott Israel sign in the window. And the tweet is like, can you imagine seeing this in your community? Really? So you have, on the one hand, mothers giving the only consolation they know how to their 4-year-old girl. If we die, it'll be quick. And here you are bitching that no one wants to eat your shitty hummus that expires 3 days after you buy it. Like, those are equivalent. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's horrible.
Well, I'm glad that you two are self-hating Jews, because this would be a boring show if, well, actually, maybe it would be even more interesting. But I saw Glenn Greenwald bring on a pro-Israel person on his show the other night, and I watched the first 5 minutes, and I had to take some anti-nausea medicine. But anyway,
that's all I got through. It's funny. Some people asked, I think this morning on our show, they asked us if we saw that, and I said I got through a few minutes. I got through a few minutes, and then I stopped.
Yeah, no, thousands of self-hating Jews shutting down Grand Central Terminal. Who knew there were so many self-hating Jews out there? I saw an article, I think it was in the Jerusalem Post, where the person with much rending of the shirts, you know, it's the traditional gesture for casting someone out of the Jewish community. You tear the shirt. He symbolically tore his shirt, saying, people who are taking the Palestinian side, it pains me to say this. This is the most painful thing I've ever written. They must be cast out of the community. They must be considered not Jewish. Wow. That's, you know, because so many people are on your side in this. That's a really good idea.
So let me ask you both, the two live Jews, what do you? Boy, it's so humid. Anyway,
I'm schwitzing.
It's like a sauna in here. You know that anyway. So let me. What do you think this really will turn the world's opinion in a way that has a material effect on Israel?
Yes.
You know, and you do. And so what do you think that will, what do you think the repercussions of this for Israel will be? I mean, I think this, go ahead. Let me throw it to you.
In the end, this is not sustainable. I've never seen anything like this in my life. People who are normally reliably deep down in their bones shitlibs, I see posting Free Palestine. I've never seen anything like this. You have a very, interestingly, what you have is what, and we'll get into that. I know we're doing Bill Ackman. They're projecting that the people who feel pro-Palestine are a very small vocal minority. No. The people who do not see that Israel is an apartheid state committing a war crime is a very small minority. It is unfortunately a small minority that is in control of governments, that is in control of a lot of financial institutions like Ackman's. They have a lot of institutional power, but they do not represent the general point of view. And when you have this kind of mass uprising, where you have everyone from reliably woke students at Harvard who actually are taking what they've been preaching for years seriously by taking up the Palestinian cause at great professional risk to themselves in terms of the careers that they obviously care a lot about, or they wouldn't have wound up at Harvard, to football fans in Scotland, as we just showed on our show this morning, against the orders of the league, protesting in favor of Palestine in the middle. When you've lost the whole world like that, you just cannot maintain this policy anymore. I think the United States is between a rock and a hard place. We will probably continue to fund it, but don't be surprised if you start to see some politicians try to walk it back. The rest of the world community, you're going to see the idea of boycotting Israel and sanctioning Israel as I believe it's someone in the Belgian parliament just advocated, it's time to sanction Israel. It's at the level now we have to sanction Israel. I think you're going to see them get economically isolated by countries that are not the United States and are not vassals of the United States.
Hey, we're doing stand-up comedy in Covina, California, Burbank, California, the day after Thanksgiving, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, lots of places in the Southland. Omaha, Nebraska. We're going to be in Omaha. We're going to be in Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. Plus, we're going to be in Boston, the Wilbur Theater in Boston. See you there.